Flosstube. Hello crafty friends, how's everybody doing today? My name's Caroline, welcome back to my channel. This is a Flosstube video today, all about cross stitching and everything that I've been up to crafty wise in the last few months. It's been a while since I recorded just a Flosstube video, so I'll tell you, I've got a lot of projects to show you today. I had a few new starts, I have a finish, and what else? Any acquisitions? Well, I received a present that I can share with you. Other than that, lots to talk about, so I guess we better get started. I have a fresh hot cup of tea. This mug was gifted to me from my friend Ellen of Maximum Cross Stitch Power Hour, and Ellen purchased this when she was at home in Winnipeg from her friends John and Charlie. John Valentine is a potter and he made this mug. I love it. And I'm drinking, actually I brought this to show you because this is a favorite now. I've got it. It's so good. This is Trader Joe's winter wake up tea. And I live in London, Ontario, Canada. We do not have a Trader Joe's here. So I was very kindly gifted this by Martha. Martha sent me a pack of tea up from the States, and Martha, I have been eking them out because it's just the perfect everything for a gray, dreary day, which today certainly is. It has been raining off and on for days. And today it started off sunny, and then it was gray, and then it was sunny, and then it was raining, and yeah, it's just very typical sort of, well, it's May. It's May now, isn't it? I was gonna say a very typical April day around here where I live, but we've actually had a very cold, wet spring so far. And yeah, I can't say that I'm not looking forward to some slightly warmer temperatures, but for today, that tea is hitting the spot. So I hope you've got a drink. I hope you have some stitching to join with me today while we have a little chat. And yeah, I have so much to show you. I was getting everything together and piling it all up, and I thought, wow, yeah, it's been a while. So let's start with my finish, because I have a finish. Ta-da! I finished one of two of the Flamingo Duo charts by Michelle Bendy. Isn't it cute? So there's two flamingos as part of the Flamingo Duo pattern, and there's the sort of what I think of as the not boring, but this sort of more, you know, decorous. Is that somebody help me out? So yeah, flamingo. It is a fancy flamingo, and then the other flamingo of the Flamingo Duo is a really fun sort of punk rock flamingo, and I decided to stitch this one first, and it's finished. So I'll bring it in nice and close so you can see the beautiful colors. This is an 18 count Ada in the colorway Catnap by Leo&Roxy Floss Co. And I used all of the called for Leo&Roxy flosses that Michelle charted it for, and one strand of thread over, well, it's not over two because it's Ada. So I used one strand of thread for the stitching. And today's gonna be a game to see whether I can get things to show properly and not blow out, because it is very gray today. I've got the blinds mostly closed, and I've got the ring light. That's another thing, ring lights, because I wear glasses. If I keep the ring light too low, all I can see is this gigantic light in my glasses, and then when I'm editing it annoys me. So I've got it a fair bit higher, so there it is, you can see it. So if I keep my head, you know, at a normal angle, then hopefully you won't see it, and hopefully it will improve the lighting of what I'm showing you. So yay, me, I finished one of the 2 flamingos. Done. Okay, moving right along. I think I have everything. Oh, you know what? I meant to start with a giveaway. I forgot because it was underneath my flamingo. I had a giveaway the last Flosstube video that I did. That was the Isabella's Heart full kit that was gifted from viewer Alicia. And it was really fun. It was really fun on a big Flosstube video to have a really exciting giveaway to offer up. And I thought, well, let's put a giveaway together today. So these things are coming from my small business, which is Evertote. I make project bags. We make project bags, I should be clear, because we have a team here. Project bags for crafters, and the exclusive seller of all of the Leo&Roxy Floss Co. products, which include overdyed cotton floss and linen and Ada. So I put together a few fun things for a giveaway because Matt was making, we had a little bit of the, some of you might remember this fabric. And interestingly enough, this was actually one of the first fabrics that we used in the very first collaboration for Leo&Roxy Floss Co. and Evertote when we put out our very first kit together with 4 colors of floss and the Marcel Party Cat bags. And we had charts from Michelle Bendy and Bart Dunn of Park Hopper Bart and Deanna of Darling Whimsy and Designs. And there were 3 small, really sweet charts that went with that kit. It's just remembering all of these things. You know, all of these things that happen and something can trigger that memory for you, right? Well, this fabric was really, you know, it was kind of all at the beginning of all of the Leo&Roxy Floss Co. Excitement that's kind of happened for us in the last year. So this fabric was one of the bag sets and we had a little bit left over, and so Matt was making some small bags with this as this was the main print, and he had just a strip left over, and he said, you know, wouldn't it be cute, we've got just enough to make some notion pouches. So I said, yes please, why don't you make those and I will offer them up for giveaway because they're so cute, you know, why not? So Matt made 3 of these while he's been making the other small bags as well. So I have 3 to give away in total, but today I'm just giving away 1. But with this, I have a package of John James needles. And the reason why I have these is because I've actually just brought these into the shop. These are my favorite needles, the John James needles. I really like the Perman needles. I really like those. And I also really like, oh, what's the other one? Oh my goodness. Perman, John James are my favorite. In a pinch, I don't mind the DMC needles because I also find that they're points. I like a slightly pointier tapestry needle. Tapestry needles have a more blunt end to them than a sewing needle would, because on purpose, so that they're not constantly piercing your linen or Ada that you're stitching with. The more blunt end tends to find the hole a little more easily. So that's why we use tapestry needles when we cross stitch and not sewing needles. However, on the much higher count fabrics, like the 46s and the 56s, sometimes a sewing needle is actually better because it helps you, it does help you actually find those holes. But anyways, I digress. The size, I've brought 2 sizes into the shop, 26 and 28s. And so I thought, let's add a pack of needles with that and a set of 5. These are kind of special. So this set of floss, Leo&Roxy Floss Co. These 5 colors were a very special set of 5 hand-painted floss that Carrie Mascio of Leo&Roxy Floss Co. did specifically for the Stitch North 2022 retreat. And so these are one of a kind, and we've just popped all of our leftovers into the shop. They're not leftovers though, you know what? I love food leftovers. Food leftovers are the best because then you don't have to cook the next day. So I don't have a problem with leftovers, but I don't want that to, I don't want you to think I'm implying that they're leftovers. These are all beautifully packaged. We just brought them home from the retreat because we had a lot of them. And they are the purple. I know they're in a package, but I want to keep them in the package. So you'll just have to excuse the crinkling. This is Gilbert, like Gilbert grape. The red is called Encore. That sort of peach, hot peach variegated is called Warm and Fuzzy. This one's called Sully. And if you have children or if you're a fan of Pixar movies, you'll understand why it's called Sully. And on the end we have, just get that to focus there. There we go. That's Palomino right there. So Gilbert, Encore, Warm and Fuzzy, Sully, and Palomino. And we only have them as sets of 5. They're not being sold individually, they're just being sold as a set. And so what I would love to do with my set is do a few of the, I'm going to choose some mini motifs from either XjuDesigns or something from Jacob of Modern Folk Embroidery and make a really small little, you know, Quaker motif, something like that, and do some scissor fobs as gifts. That's the plan anyways, because I just want to play with this floss. I just think it's really beautiful. Yeah, anyways, so that's the giveaway. Notion pouch with the kitty cats, set of 5 hand-painted floss, and a package of needles. And you can tell me which you'd prefer, the 26 or the 28, and I'll send you whichever size you prefer. So this is going to be a YouTube giveaway. And if you can leave me a comment about your favorite needle, and if you just have the word needle, N-E-E-D-L-E, in your comment, that will be the word that I look for when I go to choose the random comment picker winner. So anyways, that's the giveaway for today. Needle. Okay, so back to stitching, back to my whips. Next up, and this one I started quite a while ago, but I only recently picked it back up again because we'd been talking about using 46 count linen, and I had a project that I started on 46 count linen well, shortly after this pattern came out. So let's see. This was from September 2021. I started this shortly after Jacob released it. So this is the AIO 1844 sampler by Jacob of Modern Folk Embroidery. And he released this just before Black Sampler November. And this was the sampler that I decided to stitch for last year's Black Sampler November. And well, I didn't get very far, but that's okay because, well, it's not for me. I am a process stitcher. I just love everything about, you know, the choosing, the selecting, the starting, everything about it. So that's why I always have lots of whips on the go at the same time. And I'm okay with that. So this sampler, I had some really beautiful 46 count linen that Carrie had dyed as a sample. And so it's called Porcelain. And she has actually now redone this, and this is going to become a staple in the shop once we get it ready to go. I do have a yard, 1 yard of 46 count in stock, but I don't actually think it's listed in the shop yet. But anyways, I do have some. We'll get there eventually. But anyways, this is 46 count porcelain Leo&Roxy Floss Co linen, And the floss that I'm using is chalkboard, Leo&Roxy Floss Co. chalkboard floss. And I'm using 1 strand of floss over 2 on a 46 count linen. Isn't it beautiful? Like, it's just so tiny and delicate and pretty, and the coverage is amazing because it's so small. So you don't need very much floss. It's just beautiful. Oh, my needle minder. That needle minder was sent to me, gifted to me from Beth Ditkoff, who was my smalls exchange partner. We did a smalls exchange after the first Stitch North retreat didn't happen, and we did a long distance smalls exchange to kind of have, you know, something a little bit fun to do and, you know, mitigate a bit of the disappointment of not actually getting together. But Beth was she was the one who sent me a gift. She sent me a beautiful strawberry. It's actually just in the other room. And she sent me that needle minder. So, my bunny, it's on my project. So yeah, I think since the last time I shared this, which would have been at least, you know, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, I've done, you know, this level up here, and I'm just working my way up here just to complete that middle motif. I love it. I love the little curly tails on the birds. Those little curly tails makes them look, you know, really fancy. And this border, I mean, how fun. How fun is that border? And the birds. I love those birds. They're so cute. So, AIO 1844, a Northern Dutch sampler. So, all of the whips that I'm sharing with you today are projects that have been on my radar personally for the last few months. I've either, you know, put some stitches into them, or they're projects that I really want to see some progress in over the next couple of months. So I thought just doing a little overview of everything would be both good for me and maybe a bit fun for you. So AIO 1844, loving that 46 count linen. I mean, it's really fun. Very fun, and really good coverage too, as it would be. I mean, it's tiny, right? So okay, next up is a new start. This is the Avlia Byzantine Rose Bit Kit. And there's the cover model photo. Isn't it beautiful? I love it. I love it. So I brought in some Avlia kits into the shop a few months ago. And this was the one I wanted to start first. So what I did was, the other night I got myself all set up, because the kit comes with everything that you need to stitch the design. It comes with the fabric, which is, it's called, well, it says the photo shows our Makini ground cloth. Makini? That's my best guess. So it's known as a ground cloth, and it's imported from Greece. Krista West of Avlia Embroidery imports this fabric, and then she uses it in her kits, and it's really quite nice. And all of the DMC that you need to stitch the design is included with the kit as well. So because it all comes together, and I had just received some floss drops and a floss bling from the Stitch North retreat, I thought I would use them. So I divided up my floss that comes with the kit. The floss tags were given to me from Andrea, and they are just so cute. So some beautiful floss bling, floss rings, and look at the colors. So there's quite a lot of 310, and then this beautiful, what is that color? It's 355 terracotta, and then the green is 3012. So that's the floss. And then this was so cool. So Lori Sykes came up to the retreat from Ohio, and she gave me this floss bling, the ring, and the wood engraved floss drop holder And so I can use that for the leftover DMC from the 6th strand that I pull out. Now that's actually really interesting. An aside here, I did a video last week on how to cut your embroidery floss. And what I was showing was of course I don't have one handy except I use a lot of sample floss in my stitching because I have a lot of sample floss. So my skeins look a little bit rattier than the ones I send out. So I have like 4 leftover. This is from winding 4 hanks of floss, and I have all the leftovers on my card. So this is the chalkboard floss that I'm using for my AIO 1844 sampler. So you can see I've got 4 different things there. So nothing fancy for me. I'm perfectly content to use the leftovers because they're pretty amazing leftovers. So I was showing in this little tip video that I did how to cut and prepare your floss, and so I'll put a link in the description box to that video in case you're interested. But what I do is I keep it on the floss tag and I cut the middle of the loop that's at the bottom, and then I pull the strands from the knot. So you can take a strand of floss, you know, just pick one. Of course, now that I'm trying to do it on camera. Right, so you just pick one length, separate it out, and then I pull it out, and there's my length for stitching. And then you just tidy up the rest of what's left, and everything else stays on the card, like that. But what I didn't talk about was what if you want to use 2 strands? What if it's a highly variegated floss and you know you want to make sure that those 2 strands line up? Well, what I do then is I would pull out an entire grouping of 6. So you can see how they separate from the knot. Can you see that? There's a grouping of 6 right there. And then you pull that out. The rest of your floss is still on the card. Here's your 6th strand of floss. And then if I don't have a fancy floss blingy thing to put the rest of the 6 strands on, right? Then I would just put it back on the card here. Like I've got those 4 bits there. I think that makes sense, right? And that way you're pulling out 6 strands that have the same variegation on them. Because if you're paying for an over-dyed cotton floss that specifically has that beautiful, you know, difference in variation in color in it, you want to make the most of it. And if you're using 2 strands, you want to make sure those 2 strands match. So that way you can pull out 6 strands. If you try to pull out 2 strands at a time, first of all, you might get, if you pull out one and then another, you might not get 2 strands that are from the same 6 strand set. In which case, of course, the colors wouldn't match up, and then you know, it would still look pretty, but you wouldn't have the point of the floss being that, you know, that color should be stitching together at the same time. So I think that makes sense. So I should have included that in the other video, but I did not. So there's my floss for the Avlia Byzantine Rose Bit Kit. And here is my tremendous, see, now I'm ready for AIO 1844. You ready? Ta-da! I did my typical bottom left corner start, and I stitched just a teeny tiny little start. It was really late at night, and I was overtired, but I was just in one of those moods there that I wanted to start something. I didn't care what it was. And then I remembered I had this kit tucked away in my project bag in my purse, and I immediately thought, yes, that's what I want to start. And so I had so much fun putting it on the floss drops, remembering Andrea, remembering Lori, putting it on the floss drops, getting everything all cut and ready to go. And then by the time I got to the stitching, I was like, I had that new feeling itch was scratched, right? So I put that in and I thought, yeah, good start, good start. So anyways, I think it's beautiful, and I can't wait to add some more of the other colors in there. So I think it's gonna be beautiful. But yeah, so that's what the fabric looks like. This is the ground cloth. Let me bring it up nice and close so you can see. That's what it looks like. So it's an even weave. And there's a close-up of my, oh, that's the back. There's the front. There's a close-up of the few stitches that I've done. There. So, Avalia Embroidery Byzantine Rose Bit Kit. New start. Just what I needed. Just what I needed at the time for that new start. It's very satisfying when that happens, you know, and you just get exactly what you wanted it to be. Next up is my fanned out chart by Hannah, my Hannah, of Hannah's Little Cross Stitch Treats. Hannah works here at Evertote with me, and she has taken to designing charts. She loves to do it. She does it in her free time. She really enjoys it. And this was her very first paid for pattern that we offered here on Evertote. This is called Fanned Out. I will pop in a photo of the full design, but it's a really lovely, beautiful flower sort of mandala type design. And it used some new colors at the time that we'd released from Leo&Roxy Floss Co. I'll list them in just a minute. This linen was one of a kind linen from Maurice in Quebec. And her shop is called Toile and Knot, but I don't actually think Maurice has anything in her shop at the moment, but her linen is beautiful. This is a 32 count, and it has this beautiful green modeling to it, and I just thought it was the perfect complement to Hannah's design and colors that she chose for this chart. So the colors in here are, what is this one again? Asparagus? I'm going off my memory here. I know that this is fog, that the color on the inside is fog. Surrounding the outside is Charlie Brown. All of the border and all of the brown outline is Charlie Brown. On the inside is Snowy Owl, is the light colored white there. Pippi is the red. Is it avocado? See, we have 3 greens that are like eat your greens. We have arugula, asparagus, and artichoke. It might be artichoke. I don't think it's asparagus. I think it's artichoke. So I'll put the right name. You know, the chart has it. I will edit in over my face here what the correct color is with the magic of editing. So I think I've done a fair bit more since the last time I shared this with you. I honestly cannot remember. But like I said, I wanted to really take stock of what's on my radar, what I want to really accomplish some major progress in the next few months. And this is definitely one of them. I'd really love to finish it. Yeah, love it. So that's Hannah's Little Cross Stitch Treats. That's the name of her design business, and it's called Fanned Out. And we only have it available as a PDF chart. So there we go. Next up, we have, oh, my mitten. Oh, if you've been here for a while, you're gonna remember this one, because this one's been around for a few years, not just a few months, but a few years. So look what I dragged out of the whip pile. Remember this one? I know, right? Why is this not finished yet? I don't know. Whatever, it's fine. It is what it is. So yeah, I pulled this out maybe a month ago, and I thought, oh, that's just what I feel like stitching now, because it's tiny and I have it here at the workshop. I had a 15-minute, you know, I had a cup of coffee. I thought I'm just gonna take 15 minutes and put a few stitches in. So what I did was, because you're never gonna remember where I was the last time I shared it with you, because it was so blinking long ago, but the teal in the snowflake, that teal fill-in, there was quite a bit of the top of that fill-in wasn't done. And so I finished it. I've completely finished the teal fill-in. That's what I did. And now I want to finish it. So details on this, if I can remember. The linen is, it's a 28 count. Was it 28? Yeah, I think it's 28. Yeah, definitely 28 count 1/1. 28 count, it was just a remnant scrap I had in my stash pile when I started it originally. Let me put something behind it. There. And so, yeah, it was just a remnant of 28. And I'm using most of the called for DMC colors in the chart. I have subbed out a few. When I finish it, I'll share what I use, but really this kind of small design, and it's when it's so tiny, it's just meant to be a Christmas ornament. You could use anything that's in your stash that, you know, came close to the colors that are in it. This was a chart. This was actually the very first holiday kit that I put out, and this Christmas mitten was the pattern from that. It was designed by Rachel Nichols, and the PDF copy of this can be found in the shop. It's adorable. It is adorable. So yeah, why is it not finished? I don't know. Do we want to finish it? Yes, we do. So maybe by the holidays this year, it'll be on my tree. We'll see. But isn't it cute? It's so cute. And so tiny. It's so tiny. So when I stitch this, I have to take my glasses off, and then I can see the smallest detail. It's amazing. Okay, next up, Moonshine Cabin. Again, this is another one of those pieces that I've been working on for a little while, but I can't remember if I shared it with you. You know what? This actually reminds me that I don't think I ever shared with you my finish of Ruskin's penguins. So after I show you this, I'm gonna go and get it so that I can show you that too, because I don't think I got a ta-da for my finish. So I want the ta-da. So we'll get it. I'll get it after. All right, Moonshine Cabin. I think I have more of this stitch than the last time I shared it with you, so I'm sharing it again because this piece comes home with me every day in my purse, in my project bag, every single day. I cart it home, I cart it back to work. I cart it home, I cart it back to work because I want to finish it. But the conditions have to be right for me to work on it because it's such a dark linen. And so if I'm at all tired, fatigued, I can't work on it because I have to be fairly alert to make sure I'm not gonna have to rip out all the work that I put into it. So this is where I'm at, Moonshine Cabin. And this is by Jacob of Modern Folk Embroidery. And I am pretty sure that I hadn't shared it. I've completely finished the other side of the snow and the house. I don't think I finished the house the last time I shared it with you. Isn't it cute? Yeah, I love this one. See, this is why it goes in my project bag from work to home, because I love it. Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. Okay, details. This is a 36 count linen in the Night Owl colorway and the called for Leo&Roxy floss colors. Isn't it good? I love it. I love it so much. I want the finished project done, but I love watching it come to life. There's just as much, there's equal enjoyment in that for me than there is in the finished project. I love it. I've had a few questions about the snowflakes in the design. Some stitchers were wondering about how to do them, whether to do a pin stitch for each one or carry the floss. What is a pin stitch? There's lots of tutorials on YouTube. I know Shiloh of XjuDesigns has done a really good tutorial on how to do a pin stitch. Basically, it's how to start a stitch when you don't have anything around it to anchor your floss to. And it's a good idea when you're stitching with a dark color or any color really on a light colored fabric. But this fabric is so dark, And especially the higher count fabrics, you're not really traveling a big distance for these snowflakes. So guess what? You might be able to see it when I move this. I carried my thread. So if I bring it in nice and close, you might be able to see. You might be able to just see through where I carried the thread, but not really, right? So let me prove it to you. I'll flip it around, you can see. See, I carried the thread, right? So that's the back. But when this is framed, so you're never going to see that I carried that floss. It's hidden completely. So carry that floss. No, because nobody's got time to do the pin stitch for each individual snowflake on a design like that. There's too many snowflakes, too many, but they're so cute. So yeah, carry the floss. And the bird, look at the bird. I don't think I finished the bird either, so he's new. You know, I just can't do it justice without something behind it there. Look at, so cute. Yeah, love it. Stitching is so good, isn't it? Stitching is the best. Stitching is the best. It's so good that I have another new start to share with you. This one I have been wanting to start for a really long time. So this is Modern Folk Embroidery Winter Stars. How amazing is that? Look at that chart. Isn't it good? Oh yeah. Winter Stars. So I have physical copies of the chart in the shop. If you're a PDF stitcher, all of these PDFs are available at Jacob's web shop website, www.modernfolkembroidery.com. So good, so good. So I had some linen that Carrie dyed. The colorway is called Blank Slate, and it's one of those colors where all the different counts and all the different dye lots were all unique. And this one dye lot of the 46 count, the 46 count linen came out a little bit lighter than some of the other counts. And I had this planetarium floss, and I'm a huge lover of blue. And I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful to have a blue on blue winter piece? And it was just like magic. These two things combined are so good. So it's a 46 count, and this, see, I'm circling back here. Remember I talked a little bit about at the beginning about 46 count. Well, this is why 46 count was on my mind and why I pulled out AIO 1844 again, because I wanted to practice a little bit more on the 46 count before starting this project, so that I could remind myself what 46 count felt like, if that makes sense. I think you get it. And as soon as I put a few more stitches into that other piece, the other 46 count piece, I thought, oh yeah, I do like 46 count. And so the other night, when did I start this? I think it was on the weekend, Saturday night maybe? I don't remember, but it wasn't that long ago. Ta-da, look at how cute. Look at that. Isn't that the most beautiful thing you've ever seen? Because it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I can't believe how beautiful it is. So this is 46 count blank slate linen, using one strand of Leo&Roxy Flosstube Planetarium. So good, so good. And let me bring it up close so that you can see. Look it, it's so pretty, tiny. I love it. I just can't get over how much it is it's turning out exactly how I I hoped it would. And I couldn't put my needle down. I just started this, and that's a fair bit of stitching for me. I don't have a lot of time. But I kept putting off other things, I needed laundry done. Nope, laundry had to wait because my needle still had floss in it. When you're stitching on 46 count with a strand of linen, with a strand of floss, it goes a long way. So I made a few excuses to keep stitching, but look at how tiny it is. It's so tiny. and just the detail in that. So this is why I'm completely in love with 46 count linen. I'm really, really, really enjoying it. Now, that being said, I did stitch a little bit of this in hand, but I found that I enjoyed it more when I put it in a frame. Because the sewing method I found a little tight for me, for my comfort level on 46 count. It's totally doable, and I know there's lots of you who do it, but for me, I enjoyed it more when I put it in a frame. So, and I'll show you more details about my frame in just a minute, because actually I brought it here with me today with another new start on it. So we'll get there in a minute. Okay, so that is my Modern Folk Embroidery Winter Stars. And again, like all of Jacob's charts, they are just so wide open to interpretation. Any fabric, any floss, and you're going to end up with a gorgeous project. You can't go wrong. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, so that's Winter Stars. Next up is the reason that Blank Slate came to life. And this is Modern Folk Embroidery, Isabella's Heart. This design was the collaboration that we did together, Evertote, Modern Folk Embroidery, and Leo&Roxy Floss Co. back in January. And this was the linen and the floss that Jacob called for in his design. And so here's mine. Again, I'll put it behind something so you can see. That's where I'm at. So I think I've actually finished a fair bit of this since the last time I shared it with you. Now you'll notice this is a lot bigger than my other piece of Blank Slate, 46 count. This is a 28 count piece of fabric. So you can see the different color in the linen, right? It's a little bit darker. Some of the 28 was a little darker, some of it a little lighter. It's linen's just like overdyed cotton. Every dye lot is going to be slightly unique, and that's the beauty of a hand-dyed product. You're not getting something that's mass produced. They're all a little bit different and special. So this is a 28 count, and I'm using the called for Leo&Roxy Floss Co colors, and I finished the bird. And oh, the colors are Fallow Red, Flamingo, and Antique Wedding Dress. So I finished, I don't think I'd finished that bottom section yet the last time I shared it. The fan at the bottom of the heart and some of these petals in here. And just recently I started working in the middle here. So this is the edge, this is the other edge. So it's not going to be terribly big, but I do stitch this one in hand. This is a 28 count, 2 strands of floss over 2. Yeah, it's beautiful. So I'd like to finish this piece this year. Moonshine Cabin, Isabella's Heart, and this next piece that I'm going to share with you. These are all, I would love to see them finished and on my wall this year. So totally doable. It's good to have goals. Okay, next up, this is definitely another new start that I never shared on, at least I don't think so. I can't remember. It was so long ago, I cannot remember, but I don't think I shared this one with you. I may have started this very shortly after the last big Flosstube video that I did. It is, yet again, another Modern Folk Embroidery piece. There was one video that I did where I must have said Jacob's name like 100 times, and I had some people say, we could have had a drinking game with your, every time you said Jacob. Jacob this, Jacob that. It's true, it's true. I'm a fan. So, the Lily Wheel. This chart I saw on his website, and I immediately wanted to stitch it. Immediately. So I brought it into the shop because, you know, as you do, I had to stitch it. So here's mine. You ready? I love this so much. Look at that. Right? Oh my gosh, look at that. Look at that. Isn't it gorgeous? Yeah, it's gorgeous. I know. I'm not gonna be humble about this because, man alive, that's good. This is so fun to stitch. So fun. This is a piece of 32 count peanut brittle, and it was, I feel like I've shared this with you before. It feels like I have shared, I shared this in a, yeah, I shared it in a workshop video, but I haven't shared it here on Flosstube. So here it is. It's called the Lily Wheel, and I'm doing mine on peanut brittle with phthalo red and snowy owl. And it's stunning. It's a stunner. Yeah. Right? I know. See, as soon as I come in close, it loses the warmth of the fabric. And it's just such a gorgeous color. It's so pretty. Oh, I love it. So there you go, the Lily Wheel. And it's really not, it's not that big. I can totally finish this one this year, easily. Easily. Finish it tomorrow, no problem. Right? Yeah, it's gorgeous. So that's the Lily Wheel. My battery just died. So I took the opportunity while I was replacing the battery pack to go and grab my Ruskin's penguins. I really don't think I shared my finish here with you on Flosstube, and not only is it finished, but it's fully finished. It's framed. So this is Modern Folk Embroidery, once again Jacob, Ruskin's penguins. One can't be angry when one looks at a penguin. And this was such a fun stitch. I loved stitching this. Loved it. It was one of these pieces that was always, just like Moonshine Cabin kind of went home and back and home and back. This one was the same. And I really enjoyed it. I used a 28 count fabric by XjuDesigns called Old Linen, and it is beautiful. And the called for Leo&Roxy Flosstube colors, which were chalkboard and weathered white. So that's my finish. I fully finished it. My friend Neil framed it for me, and it is now on the wall near the door of the workshop. I love it. So ta-da, ta-da. So, you know, that's, I mentioned this a while back, a few months back now, that I wanted to try kind of a new system for keeping track of my projects. And so I bought a couple of books, notebooks where I was going to keep track of books that I read or audiobooks and projects that I finished. So because I have been keeping track of my projects, see, look, proof. I want to share with you that I have actually finished 5 things this year in 2022. For me, that's a record because normally my projects are so massive and I don't finish I don't finish things. I'm okay with that. But look, I finished 5 things this year. I finished the Red Berries chart, Modern Folk Embroidery. I finished a pair of socks by Timber Yarn self-striping my Smarties socks. I finished them, they're done. Ruskin's penguins, I finished that. I finished the little Modern Folk Embroidery Summer Bower chart. Now granted, it's only about that big, but I finished it. And Bendy Stitchy Designs Flamingo Duo. See my newest finish? It's already written down because I wanted credit for it. So I would like to have a few more finishes this year, more than in years past. And so I think I'm feeling pretty proud of myself. I'm well on my way. So it'd be nice if I could add this little mitten to that list because it's been a few years. Time to finish it up. Okay, so before I have 2 more whips to share with you for today. This next one, I am so loving that I've gotten back into this one. It's been so nice to bring this piece back out again and work on it again. This was a design that I started as a stitch along back at the very beginning of 2021. So January 2021, so almost a year and a half ago. And this was the Fjolanda HKVH sampler by Historische Stickmuster. And it's been a while since I've had to pronounce those beautifully German words. Are you ready? So, I mean, don't get too excited. It looks kind of the same as the last time I shared it, except I've added a few more motifs. So here's where I'm at. Look it. Right? I know. It is stunning. Stunning. So what's new? Okay, let me point out what's new. Since the last time I shared this on Flosstube, I have added 4 motifs, 3 or 4, at least 3, if not 4. Starting with this one, there. Let's get it to focus here. That one. And then this one on the bottom I did next. And then I came up here and did, oh no, I'm fibbing. I didn't do that one next. So I did that one, then I did that one, and then I traveled over here and I did that one. Look at that. Right? And then I traveled back over here and I did that little guy right there in the corner. Isn't it? Yeah, I know. This is a piece of 36 count. For a while I thought it was 40, but I've been working on the higher counts lately. I know for a fact it's not 40. It's definitely a 36 count. 1 strand of silk by MissusSedas, and she is in Spain, and the colorway is called Rouge, and it is gorgeous. 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 Look at it. See that color? Look at that. Yeah. So this one is now back fully on my radar, and I am stitching this in hand. So this is, I keep it in the same project as my Moonshine cabin. And so lately, the last couple of weeks, I've been putting a few lengths of floss into each of these small motifs. So those 3 motifs, well, this one I think I had done before I put it away the last time, but that big one over here, that's brand new. And I think that was maybe just last Thursday or Friday that I finished that one. So I've actually been doing a fair bit of stitching lately, more so than in the last 6 months. I feel like I finally have a little bit better handle on my time, you know, for a little bit more free time for myself for stitching, which has been really, really nice. So Historische Stickmuster, you can find, I'm stitching that using the Silk Stitching app, and it's a wonderful app. It's got the chart right in there, and so I purchased the pattern through the Silk Stitching app, and then you can use it. It's very much like Pattern Keeper, except it's not. It's kind of it's only for the designers and charts that they have within that app. So you can purchase the patterns and you can keep them within the app and highlight the stitching that you've done, so on and so forth. So that is a gorgeous stitch. The fabric, I mentioned it's a 36 count. I also know that it's an R&R Reproductions linen. I'm pretty sure the colorway is Winter Brew. Like, I'm 95% sure. It's either Winter's Brew or Patriot's Brew. And I'm pretty sure that my other Modern Folk Embroidery Sal, the 2018 one, I think that's on Patriot's Brew. So I'm pretty sure this is Winter's Brew. Yeah, love it. last one. You ready? Last whip, and this is a new one. So I have mentioned over the last couple of weeks that I have started a stitch along to raise money, to raise funds for the Brain Aneurysm Foundation. My husband, John, is running the New York City Marathon again this November. Last November was his first time running the race. This year, he's going to be running it again in November, and he has added fundraising for a charity to his run, to his race. So we are, I said I would help him out because, well, he's my fella, and I think it's a great cause, and I'm really proud of him for running and doing all of this hard work. So I'm not gonna run a marathon beside him, but I can stitch, and I can, you know, help host a stitch along. So Jacob of Modern Folk Embroidery, there you go, there's another Jacob. He came up with a chart. Birds from Bernard's books. And I'm going to insert a photo of the chart here while I'm talking about it. I did a little video on the weekend all about the fundraiser, all about the chart, and you know how it's working. And so many stitchers have purchased the chart, and I am thrilled to be able to tell you that we are already over $400 US in proceeds from the chart. So the way Jacob is doing it is 50% of all of the proceeds from the sale of that PDF chart are going to be directly donated into John's fundraising efforts for the Brain Aneurysm Foundation. I also have a direct link in my description box for John's link for his fundraising efforts so that you can check it out, so you can see where we're at with our total. And that is our total without the money that has been added in. So we can add that $400 US on top of the money. I think, I checked it earlier today, I think we're just under $3,800. So we're at about $3,800 still left that we need to raise. But we had a $5,000 goal. And so the fact that we've already raised about $1,200 US is amazing. And so to everyone who's made a donation, thank you so much, because you know, it's been really wonderful to see. And I know John's been sending out some thank you emails. Yeah, just thank you very much. So I'm hosting a stitch along. It started yesterday, but guess what? If you'd like to join in, it's never too late, because a stitch along with me is always really casual. But this time I've done some stitch alongs. I've hosted some stitch alongs in the past, and I'll be honest, it's not my strong suit to host a stitch along because I am pretty relaxed about stuff, and you know, I always have a million whips. I don't tend to be overly focused on getting things done. So generally what happens is everybody else finishes the stitch along, and Caroline's just still stuck at the start along phase of it. So for this one, I am determined that for this stitch along that I am hosting, it's going to be a proper stitch along. It's not just going to be a start along for me. So yesterday was May 1st. I had my floss, I had my fabric all ready to go. I had my PDF downloaded, ready to go. And I started late last night. I didn't tell you this. So here's a little personal side note, tangent, because it's kind of a big deal for me. Yesterday, Sunday, May 1st, my daughter Sarah, we moved her out of the house into her very first grown-up apartment. I know. Now, it's just short term because she has a summer job near Toronto. So she has a summer internship job. So she's only moving there for 3 months. I think it's 3.5 months. And then she's coming home for a few months, and then she's off, you know, in January to a new adventure next year. But this is the start of really, I mean, she lived in residence in first year university, and then she moved back home because of the pandemic, but also that was always the plan. And she went to school from living from home. But this is the first real big grown-up step, you know what I mean, for a life of her own. And yeah, so that was yesterday. So I'm so proud of her. I miss her so much already, but yeah, so that was yesterday. So I didn't have a lot of time to start the stitch along, but I was determined. Yesterday was start day. Yesterday was going to be start day. So I prepped my fabric on my stand, and that's why I brought it today to show you, because I talked about this for Winter Quakers. I wanted to show you my setup because I always have questions about my frames that I use, and so I thought it was a great opportunity to show you. It's been a while because I've been stitching in hand so much. I haven't been using my frames, but now I'm using my frames for the higher count fabric. So here you go. All right, so here's my start, first of all. And you can see, if you want to follow along on the stitch along, let me just put this down for a minute so it's not right in front of my face. It's mostly happening on Instagram. That's really where it's the easiest place to share everything. We have a hashtag. The hashtag is hashtag StitchMFE4, that's F-O-R, B-A found, which is Brain Aneurysm Foundation. So it's a kind of a long hashtag, but it's really not, because it makes sense. Stitch MFE for BA found. And I will put it on the screen here, and I will also put the hashtag in the drop down box below if you would like to join in, because again, like I said, there's no rules. You can join in anytime. My goal for myself for this stitch along, that is not going to be just a start along for me. The race is it November? I should know this. I should know this, but I'm not the one running the race. November 6th? Is it the 6th or the 7th? Yeah. It's the 6th or the 7th. I'm going to be done by then. That is my goal. I'm going to be done by then. So to that end, I have to be accountable. So I am going to be posting progress pictures. I'm going to try for every day. That's my goal. I'm going to try and put at least a couple stitches in every single day. If not a whole length of floss, couple lengths of floss every single day. And I'm going to post a little update photo in my stories feed on my Evertote Instagram page. So I have 2 Instagram accounts. One of them is at Off the Grid Needlearts, which frankly has been pretty dormant the last couple of months because it's become mostly just a place marker for me to pop in photos of my, you know, my every once in a while my kids or the dog or whatever. The odd joke too. But then again, I've kind of been posting jokes on my Evertote stories feed lately because there are some really funny gems out there. Anyway, I digress. I'm going to try and post a photo in my stories every day at the end of the day that has a little picture of the progress that I've made. And then I'm going to take those photos and I'm going to put them in a highlights reel so that by November 6th or 7th, I can see my progress from yesterday all the way up to a finished project on race day. That's my goal. So I'm well on my way. Yeah, so this is peanut brittle again. Peanut brittle and phthalo red were my choices. I'm using a 40 count version of the peanut brittle and 1 strand of floss over 2 linen threads on the 40 count fabric. My needle minder was from, I purchased it at the New Jersey Flosstube retreat a few years back from Abby Top Knot Stitcher. It's super cute. I love it. And my frame, this is, I have a few of these and my frames are older, but they still work perfectly well. So I use them all the time. It's a Kay's Creations lapped frame. It's a wooden lap frame by Kay's Creations. Now this is one of the older ones. I think the newer ones have more of a bar here with a place for your scissors and chapstick or needles or something. I could be wrong, but anyways, this is the one I have. I don't remember the length of these bars because I have several sets of bars, and because these parts slide, can you see it? Let me turn it upside down. There. See these bars here? They slide in or out depending on how wide your bars are, your scroll rods, okay? Now I have 2 types of scroll rods that I like to use for this system. Oh, and also, I don't think these are standard with the Kay's Creations lap frame. I found these actually at a friend's estate sale. These are extender bars that are on the tops of these ones, and so you can tighten from the top, and you can really crank your fabric nice and tight. But those, I think that's an add-on. I don't think that comes standard with the frame. And these gray things, so like I said, I use 2 types of scroll rods. Some of them have the binding tape on them, and you can sew your project to it. You can baste it to it. Or I've got these, and these make it really easy to swap out projects on scroll rods. And because I'm doing both winter stars and this design on this setup, it makes it nice and quick. So this is called a handy clamp, and you purchase them separately, a handy clamp. And I have a layer of quilt batting that I have up inside. So before I roll this down, I layer some quilt batting in a single layer, because you don't want any lumps in here, because that will affect your tension on your linen. So a single layer of quilt batting across the bar at the top, just underneath. And then I roll my fabric, I roll the bar down on top of that quilt batting. And that protects the linen from, see how the handy clamp has a little ridge here? Let's get that to focus so that you can see it. There, oop, in and out, in and out. There you go. Anyways, oh, there. Let's cover up my face. There you go. See that? If I didn't use that quilt batting, then that ridge becomes kind of embedded in your linen. So that nice, and I use a layer of quilt batting that is about this wide, so that when you wrap it, it's going to cover, there's ridges on both sides of the handy clamp, right? So you want to make sure that you're protecting enough. So yeah, so that's my setup. It's a Kay's Creations lap frame. I've had it for a super long time. I use it a lot, and I've been really happy with it. So if you're looking for a frame and that seems like a setup that you might like, maybe that's something to check out. Yeah, so there you go. I've already put in 1 length of floss this morning with my coffee before I came to work. So I'm already ahead of day 1. I'm already well into day 2. And yeah, I love it. It's a beautiful piece. And I think it's an attainable goal. It's a pretty big piece. I'm not gonna lie, it is a pretty big piece, but I think I can do it. If John can, if he can run for almost 4 hours, I can stitch. I'm really good at that. I received a gift from Carrie Mascio of Leo&Roxy Floss Co., the dyer, the genius, the friend. She had duplicates of a chart that I've wanted for a really long time, and when I said, oh, I've wanted that chart before I knew, she said, oh, I've got 2, you can have one of mine. So she brought it over for me this morning. Look at this. I've wanted this chart for ages. So Carrie, thank you so much. This is Ann Thomas, 1854. Anything with birds in it, I'm a sucker for. And this one in particular is a really beautiful sampler. So this is a Hands Across the Sea sampler. I don't know when I'm going to start it. I'm not a huge sampler stitcher, but certain samplers really call to me, and this has always been one of them. Ever since it came out, I've really felt drawn to this particular sampler. I love everything about it. So I don't know when I'm going to start it, but it's one of those things where now you know that it's there when you're ready. When you're ready for it, it's there. And it's gorgeous. Yeah. So, a little gift. I think that's it. I think I did it. I can't believe it. I think I did it. I think I told you everything. I think I shared everything. All of the whips that I've had in my brain that I've been working on the last couple of months, I think I've caught you all up now. And now I've got some stitching to do. So tonight, Moonshine Cabin, you know it, it's coming home with me again. Will I put a few stitches in it? Maybe. That remains to be seen. This one's gonna stay here at the workshop This is a great coffee break stitch. I have my floss is all in a little notions pouch here, and it just sits on my desk. So, you know, what's next? I think I need to do some more teal. So it's in here, it's ready. I'll get to it. By Christmas time, it'll be done. Anyways, I have talked long enough. It's time for me to say goodbye. And to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me again. Feels really good to be back. I would love to make Monday my Flosstube day. Monday, happy Monday. It's a great way to start my week. It's a great way to take stock of everything that I'm working on craft-wise and share it with you. So it feels good. Monday feels like a good day. So I will tentatively say I might be back later this week with a Notes from the Workshop update video, but Flosstube, I will see you next Monday. So until then, I hope that you're well. I hope that you're safe, and I hope that you have some stitching to enjoy, because heaven knows it's a lot of fun. Now I want to stitch all the things, but I've got some work to do, so I better go. I'll see you next Monday, everybody. Take care. Have a wonderful week. Happy stitching.